Let's be honest for a second. There's a very specific, slightly embarrassing thing that almost all of us do. You know that moment when your favorite song, the one you're currently obsessed with, finally ends? The final note fades out, there's that split second of silence, and then, what do? If you're like me, and if you're like millions of other people, you don't let the playlist shuffle to the next random track. No. You reach for your phone, or you click your mouse, and you hit that little repeat one button. You drag the slider right back to the beginning, and you listen to it again, and maybe 5 more times after that. Sometimes, if we're really in deep, we might listen to the same 3-minute track on a loop for an entire hour-long commute. We do this in private, usually with headphones on, because if anyone else knew we'd just listened to Dancing Queen, or that specific lo-fi beat 14 times in a row, they might think we've sort of lost the plot. We feel a little guilty about it, like we're being boring, or intellectually lazy, or stubbornly refusing to expand our musical horizons. But here is the fascinating thing I want to explore with you today. That impulse to hit repeat isn't a sign that you're boring, and it's certainly not a glitch in your programming. It is actually a deeply intelligent, profoundly human response, managed by the most sophisticated machinery in the known universe, your brain. It's your mind trying to fulfill very specific psychological needs in the most efficient way possible. So, if you've ever wondered why you can't seem to quit that one song, pull up a chair. We're going to dive into the psychology of the repeat button, and I promise by the end of this, you won't feel guilty about it ever again. To understand why we do this, we first have to understand something fundamental about how our brains handle the world. Your brain is essentially an incredibly complex prediction machine. Every second of every day, it is taking in massive amounts of sensory information, sights, sounds, smells, temperatures, and trying to organize this chaos. Sanpur Iris Yawasao into a coherent reality. It's trying to predict what's going to happen next so it can keep you safe and functional. This constant processing is exhausting. Your brain uses about 20% of your body's entire energy supply, despite only being a small fraction of its weight. So, whenever it can, your brain seeks out shortcuts. It craves efficiency. It loves what psychologists call cognitive fluency, which is essentially how easy it is for your brain to process information. When you listen to a brand new piece of music, your brain is working hard. It's mapping out the structure, trying to anticipate the melody, decoding the lyrics, and deciding if it even likes the sound. It's cognitive effort. But when you put on that song you've already heard 50 times, that is a cognitive vacation. Your brain knows exactly what's coming. It knows when the chorus hits. It knows when the drum break happens. A nestal, cordi sour, a siwat. It knows precisely when the singer's voice is going to crack with emotion on that one high note. There are no surprises, no threats, no need for intense processing. This familiarity creates a sense of ease and safety. It's the auditory equivalent of slipping into your most comfortable, broken-in pair of jeans. They just fit perfectly. Wantraor, Einchikonisig, Sisao, and you don't have to think about them. This explains why, when you're stressed out, tired after a long day of work, or feeling anxious about the future, the last thing you want is a challenging new experimental jazz album. You want the sure thing. You want the song that guarantees a specific result. You are outsourcing your emotional regulation to a 3-minute audio file, and that is a brilliant strategy. But it's not just about laziness or taking the easy road. There is powerful neurochemistry at play here, specifically involving our old friend dopamine. Now, we often hear dopamine described simply as the pleasure chemical, but that's not quite the whole story. Dopamine is heavily involved in the reward system. Yes, but it's uniquely tied to anticipation. There was some incredible research done a few years back at the Montreal Neurological Institute that looked at people's brains while they listened to music they loved. They found that dopamine wasn't just released during the peak moments of the song. Craves, like that epic guitar solo or the beat drop you love. The brain was actually releasing dopamine in anticipation of those moments. Think about what that means for the songs you listen to on repeat. Because you know the song so intimately, your brain begins the chemical reward process before the favorite part even happens. You are edging your own brain toward a guaranteed climax of pleasure. You know the high point is coming, and the act of knowing makes the eventual arrival even sweeter. When you listen to a new song, you might enjoy it, but you don't get that delicious surge of anticipatory dopamine, because you don't know what there is to anticipate yet. The repeat song offers a reliable, predictable neurochemical payoff. In a world where very few things guarantee a reward, your favorite song is a sure bet. Why wouldn't you double down on that? Beyond the mechanics of the brain, there's the deep emotional landscape we have to traverse. Music is perhaps the most efficient tool human beings have ever invented for emotional regulation. We use songs like drugs or like therapy to tweak our internal states. Sometimes you need to act as your own hype man. You're about to walk into a difficult meeting, or you need to clean the entire house. So you put on that high-energy banger that makes you feel invincible. You don't just listen to it once. You loop it to maintain that state of arousal until the job is done. Other times, and this is perhaps more common with repetitive listening, we use music for validation. When you're feeling profound sadness or heartbreak, it can feel incredibly isolating. It feels like nobody understands the specific tenor of your pain. Then you find that one sad song that seems to articulate exactly what you're feeling, better than you ever could. Listening to that sad song on repeat isn't about wallowing. Well, sometimes it is a little bit of wallowing, and that's okay too, but usually it's about feeling seen. It's a musical hug. The song acts as an empathetic presence, confirming that your emotions are real, they are valid, and that someone else has felt them before. If you listen to that breakup song 20 times in a row, you are essentially sitting in a room with a supportive friend who is just holding space for you, saying, "Yes, it hurts. I know." You repeat the song until you've processed enough of the emotion to move on to the next feeling. You use the song until it's all used up. And then, there is the element of time travel. This is where things get a little philosophical. We don't just listen to music in a vacuum. We listen to it within the context of our lives. Songs act as incredibly potent anchors to autobiographical memories. There's a concept in psychology called the reminiscence bump, which refers to the fact that older adults tend to have increased recollection for events that occurred during their adolescence and early adulthood. Music is a massive trigger for this. The songs you loved when you were 16, 20, or 25 are sticky. They are glued to who you were when you first heard them. When you revisit a song from your past on repeat, you aren't just listening to melodies and harmonies. You are briefly resurrecting a past version of yourself. You're stepping back into the shoes of the person you were when that song meant everything to you. Maybe life feels incredibly complicated right now. You have bills, responsibilities, relationship stress, and existential dread about the state of the world. But for 4 minutes, you can put on that pop-punk anthem from 2003, and suddenly, a part of your brain thinks you're back in your friend's basement. And your biggest worry is whether your crush will text you back on your flip phone. It's a form of regression, but a healthy one. It's a brief respite in a simpler time. We hit repeat because we don't want to leave that space just yet. We want to stay in that memory a little longer before reality comes crashing back in. So, when you look at all these factors combined, the cognitive ease, the dopamine-fueled anticipation of a guaranteed reward, the emotional validation, and the nostalgic time travel, it becomes very clear that hitting the repeat button isn't a strange habit. It's an act of self-care. We live in an era defined by overwhelming amounts of noise. We are constantly bombarded with new information, new anxieties, new demands on our attention, and yes, an endless stream of new music on streaming platforms demanding to be heard. It is chaotic. In the face of that chaos, choosing to listen to the same song 5 times in a row is an act of defiance. It is you taking control of your auditory environment. You are saying to the world, for the next 20 minutes, I am going to control exactly what enters my brain, and it's going to be something that I know for a fact makes me feel good, or safe, or understood. You are creating a predictable, safe little bubble in an unpredictable world. You are giving your tired executive function brain a break. You're administering a precise dose of emotional medicine that you know works for your specific symptoms right now. So, the next time you find yourself reaching for that repeat one button, and you feel that twinge of self-judgment, I want you to stop. Don't apologize for it. Don't hide your Spotify-wrapped statistics. Recognize it for what it is. Your brain doing exactly what it needs to do, to keep you balanced, happy, and sane. Go ahead and listen to it again. The rest of the world and all its noise can wait a few more minutes. Before you go, I'd love to know down in the comments. What is the one song that you absolutely cannot stop listening to right now? The one you've had on repeat all week? And if you're brave enough, Tell us why you think you need that specific song right now. I think we'll find a lot of common ground down there. Thanks for watching, and happy listening.